Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending our graduate online information session tonight. Just to kind of give you an idea of the format we're going to be doing tonight. I have Dr. Marie Rabarch with me. I'm Michael Petrie. I'm the Director of Graduate Admissions here at the College of New Rochelle. We have a handful of slides we're going to go through. Within our Division of Psych and Counseling, we have five different master's programs: career development, guidance and counseling, marriage and family therapy, mental health counseling, and school psychology. Dr. Rabarch will go through those five programs briefly, and then towards the end of her presentation, if you have any questions at all, you can always just type into the message box and we'll do our best to answer your questions as best we can. So without further ado, I'm going to have Dr. Rabarch briefly go through each of those five programs for you.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Division of Psychology and Counseling at the Graduate School at the College of New Rochelle. I'm an assistant professor in the psychology and counseling programs, and I'm going to take you through our programs, and then we're going to have time at the end to answer any questions you may have. We know that this is a very big decision that you have to make, and we want you to be confident that you get all the answers you need about what we have to offer here at the College of New Rochelle. So, as Michael noted, we have 5 master's programs and 4 advanced certificate programs. I'm going to go through the master's programs first, starting with career development. Our career development program is a 45 credit program, and it leads to the Master of Science degree. Individuals seeking this program typically want to work in the field in which they help individuals or counsel individuals trying to decide on career choices. So many of our graduates have gone on to careers, as you can see on the screen, at colleges and universities, human resource areas, and EAP representatives. So this is very based in counseling, where we help you to develop your skills as a counselor, but with an emphasis on career development and understanding the needs of an individual who is looking to make a career decision. Next, we're going to talk about guidance and counseling. This is basically our school counseling program. This is for those of you that are interested in working in the schools as a school counselor. Much needed in today's society. The school counselor deals with almost everything from scheduling to crises to helping students who are struggling both academically and behaviorally. It's a 45 credit program with a heavy emphasis on counseling specifically in the schools, understanding child development, understanding the needs of parents, and understanding how to help students succeed academically. It is a 45 credit program and a 120-hour internship, which we help you to attain in one of our local schools here. It leads to the NYSED provisional certification as a school counselor. We do also offer the advanced certificate in guidance and counseling for the additional credits that's needed for permanent certification. Our next program is the Marriage and Family Therapy Program. This is a licensure-based program, 45 credits for those individuals that want to work as specifically marriage and family therapists. Recently, New York State developed a new license that required for individuals that want to work as marriage counselors or couples therapists. Our program meets all the education requirements for licensure in New York State as a marriage and family therapist. It is very heavily based in psychology and in counseling, and the program it requires 2 250-hour practicum. The practicums are required by the state, and those hours are dictated by the state. But when you are done with us, you will have both the education and the internship requirements necessary to begin your experience as a marriage and family therapist and to move on towards the licensure exam. Our next program is the mental health counseling program. This is a 60 credit program, and it also meets all the New York State requirements, educational requirements for licensure as a New York mental health counselor. There are 700 hours of fieldwork required for this program, also dictated by New York State. I know that sounds like a lot, but our students have been able to do that, many of whom are still working full time. This program leads to career opportunities in many areas in various mental health hospitals, community centers, different agencies, private practice as well. Our next program, briefly, is the school psychology program. This also is a 60 credit program approved by New York State to provide provisional certification as a school psychologist. It is heavily based in assessment. And so those individuals that are interested in working in the schools and not as a school counselor, but more as a school psychologist who have an interest in assessment and working with the school's CPSE committees and CSE committees, this is the program for you. It requires a 1,200-hour internship, which is basically a full year in the schools. Our next master's that's all of our master's programs. These are our advanced certificate programs. As you can see, there are lesser credits. These are programs that can be added to your master's program or taken separately before, and you decide that you want to come to our master's programs. Career development, again, if you have a degree in another field of counseling or psychology and you want to have a little bit more expertise as a career counselor, that would be the program for you. The guidance and counseling program, as I said before, provides additional coursework for those individuals seeking permanent certification in New York State as a school counselor. The mental health counseling advanced certificate is one of our newest programs, and this is what the state calls as a bridge program. Many of you looking for that may have heard that term. This provides the coursework for those individuals who already have a master's in school counseling or a master's in school psychology and wish to obtain the licensure as a New York State mental health counselor. So this bridges the gap between that and the licensure. That's why it's given the name Bridge Program. And our final advanced certificate is in thanatology, which many of you know is grief counseling. Our Dr. Doker, who is well known in the field, is the expert in thanatology, and it's an 18-credit program that focuses on the area of grief, death and dying, children, loss and death, and all of those specific courses for those of you who want to have expertise in bereavement counseling. So at this moment, I'm going to turn it over briefly to Michael, and then we're going to open it up for questions.
So just to kind of give everybody a quick idea of what the application process is to any of our graduate programs. The good news is if you do apply to us and you apply online, the application fee is waived. So obviously you want to get an application to us. Probably the biggest issue for most students, or the thing that's most time consuming, is making sure you get official transcripts from all colleges attended. So if you'd graduated from a college or university and you'd ever transferred credit into those programs, you want to make sure that you get all of those transcripts to us. If you've completed any graduate work, you want to get those transcripts to us as well. They all need to be official transcripts submitted from the school. We do require 2 letters of recommendation. They need to be either of a professional or academic nature. For those of you who are currently in school or recently graduated, it may be easy to get those from professors. We try to be as flexible as we can. If you're currently working within the field or within a school building or something along those lines, if you have a colleague or a supervisor that's willing to give you a letter of recommendation, those would work as well. It could be from 2 professors, from 2 colleagues. Either one of those would be fine. Finally, or not finally, but we do also require a personal goal statement. That really wants to be directed towards why you're seeking that particular program. It also gives you the opportunity to discuss yourself a little more fully. If there's things that you need to talk about in terms of your academic record that you want to explain a little bit further, if you had any particular experiences that you feel make you qualified or just sort of add some texture to who you are as a candidate, the personal statement's a really great place to do that. It really gives us a better sense of who you are as a candidate, and it's something that we look at very closely. Um, Once again, we're saying 1 to 3 pages, but we are somewhat flexible with that. I mean, at a minimum, you probably want to be close to 3 to 5 paragraphs. Some students will do longer than that, but you just really want to be able to get your message across in that personal goal statement. And then finally, we require a resume. It gives us a good sense of what you have been doing. I know for some of you who've just graduated, the resume may not be particularly full. But for those of you who've been working for a while, it gives us a sense of a fuller picture of who you are as a candidate. And sometimes it gives us a better sense of why you're seeking the degree that you're thinking about. Um, and then, also some frequently asked questions that we have concern the admissions process is when the application deadline is. We have what's called a rolling admissions process, so there is no set deadline. We accept applications for both the spring, summer semester, and fall semester. There's no hard start date or specific start date for any of the programs here, so you can start for spring, summer, or fall. Classes, in terms of the class days and times, we don't have any classes during the day. Classes are always going to be held early afternoon, early evening. Classes are going to meet Monday through Thursday. They typically meet 1 day a week between 4:15 and 6:45, or between 7 and 9:30. And we do have a handful of Saturday classes as well, and occasionally some Sunday classes. So the programs are really designed for working adults or students who have already graduated, and the early afternoon, evening is a better time for them to be in school. Um, Currently, for the Division of Psych and Counseling, we don't have any of the programs that are offered exclusively online. Some of the classes are being offered in a little bit of a hybrid type method, but for the most part, for the Division of Psych and Counseling, the classes are going to be held in a traditional classroom. And I think for these type of programs that are dealing with people, I think being in the classroom and sharing experiences with your classmates is something that's really important. Um, Finally, in terms of financial aid, the process in some sense is straightforward. If you're familiar at the undergraduate level and you submitted a FAFSA, the process is the same. You just want to submit your FAFSA to us. So at a bare minimum, you'd be eligible for need-based financial aid. Typically, those are going to come in the form of loans. But we do have merit-based scholarships. One of the things that we've changed this year is that instead of applying for a merit-based scholarship, once you apply to us, we'll automatically consider you for the merit-based scholarship. So if you receive an acceptance letter from us and you're eligible for a scholarship, you'll get that letter in the mail as well. We do also offer some graduate assistantships. Those are a bit more competitive. And then there's a deadline for that typically, which I believe is January 1st or January 15th. But you can always talk to us about that later. So at this point, we've kind of gone over most of the information. What you can do at this point, if you have any questions about the application process, any questions specifically about the programs that we offer, just feel free to type a message in the chat box, and then we'll answer your questions for you.
Can you answer that?
So the question, if you can't see it, is there enough time to enroll now for the spring semester? So our spring semester does start on January 16th, which is roughly about a month away from now. The short answer is yes, there is still time to apply for the spring semester. We're accepting applications for all the programs. Even though we're closed the last week of December, there would be enough time to get all the items needed to make an admissions decision. Once we have more or less a complete application, we're able to make a decision typically within a few days. So there's absolutely enough time to apply for the spring if that's something that you're thinking of doing.
Other questions? I know you have them. We're here to answer them.
So we have a question. I'm going to kick this one to Dr. Rabarge, but The question is, what makes CNR stand out from other colleges?
Okay. Well, I can tell you that I have been at the College of New Rochelle for 15 years, and many of our faculty have been here even longer than that. In fact, I think our Dr. Doka has been here 35 years, Dr. Piscolio has been here 20 years, and so we have a really long-term dedicated faculty that stay here for a very long time. And if you know faculty, they don't stay in any one place long time if they're not happy to be here and they're not feeling like they're doing good work for the students. There are a number of things about CNR that stand out. It's a very small college. And particularly in the psych and counseling programs, we get to know your names. You're not a number to us. We pride ourselves in being very, what we call personal. We know our students, we know their needs, we know when we need to help them, and we know what they're capable of. So you will be called by your first name by your faculty, and they will get to know you very well. We're not a large university where you get lost in a class of 100 students. The largest class we have is about 100. The other thing that makes us stand out is we're very practical. We are going to teach you not just the theories of the different counseling, we're going to make you practice. And so that when we send you out into the real world, you're going to feel confident that you can do what you can do. And I see more questions coming in, so I'm going to move on. Another question is, how long does the marriage and family therapy program take? That's a very good question. I would say the marriage and family therapy program takes somewhere between 2.5 and 3 years. Remember that there's 250-hour internships, so that basically takes a full fall and spring semester in itself. And so students need to take all the prerequisites before that. So if you start in the fall, you could possibly be done in 2 years. If you start in the summer, it might take a little longer. So really depends on where you start. And I'm the advisor to that program, so I would map that out for you. And we would know exactly when you start and where you're going to end. Another question I see is, where can I do my internship? Will an advisor help me find a location? For all the programs, we have a list of approved sites for each internship requirement, and we will sit with you the semester before it's time for internship, even sooner sometimes, and go through that list. And you in particular, for like the mental health counseling program, if you say, I'm interested in working in substance abuse treatment, I can sit with you and tell you which of the programs on that list are substance abuse focused. So yes, you do have an advisor that will work with you to find a location. I see another question here. Are there any prerequisites for the mental health counseling program? Yes, there are. The mental health counseling program requires 30 credits in psychology and 4 specific courses, one in developmental psych, an intro to psych course, a experimental psychology course, and an abnormal psychology or personality psychology course. That would be the requirement, the prereqs to enter the program. Likewise, with the marriage and family, very similar prerequisites, and the school psychology program as well. The school counseling program does not have the same requirements, nor does the career counseling program, but they do have requirements in terms of GPA. I see our next question is, what is the most popular major in your division and where do your students end up working? Okay, as of right now, we're kind of neck and neck, the mental health counseling program and the guidance and counseling program. Dr. Viscolio would tell you the school counseling program is beating out my program, but I would have to differ. But where do our students end up working? If you are doing the guidance and counseling program, you're working in any of the local school districts here in Westchester, as well as throughout New York City. This is where our students typically end up working. the mental health counseling program. We have students, many of whom end up working exactly where they did their internship, which is what I tell them. When you go to internship, make nice to everybody and tell them you need a job in 6 months. So they're working in many places, in many of the hospitals in the area and some of the smaller clinics. I have a question from Samantha. How small are the classes? That's an excellent question, Samantha. The classes here are relatively small, which is why many of us older faculty can remember all the names. So, for example, the largest class you'll probably sit in is maybe probably 25 students. And the reason for that is there are certain courses that all the programs have to take. For example, an Intro to Theories of Counseling course. That's required from all of the programs. So you're going to get students from school psych, from mental health, from marriage and family. That will probably be your largest course. As you proceed through your program and you will become coming into your more specialization courses, the student number of students will decrease. So, for example, one of the courses in marriage and family, last semester I had 10 students. So that's about the size range of the classes. Samantha is asking, are scholarships available?
Yeah, so if you hadn't just signed in, what I mentioned before is the good news is that if you do apply to us and we are able to accept you into the program, we'll automatically consider you for any merit-based scholarships. So when you would receive your acceptance letter, you would also receive the scholarship letter as well. We do have graduate assistantships as well. That process is a little bit different. There's a bit more of a commitment involved to the graduate assistantship. You have to work, I believe it's about 18 hours a week. You're not able to have any other job. You'd be working typically within the offices on campus in a clerical capacity. You have to apply for those ahead of time. Typically, I think the deadline is, I think it's January 1st or January 15th. And the start date for those graduate assistantships typically is from July 1st to July 1st, and it would last for a year. But if you are thinking about any sort of merit-based scholarship, like I said, we'd automatically consider you for that. Typically, you'd want to have roughly about a 3.5 or better overall GPA from your undergraduate record to be considered for that. But like I said, you could consider for that automatically.
So Michelle is asking, will this presentation be made available after tonight if I want to go back and reference it?
Yeah, so the good news, the short answer is that this session is being recorded. So if anyone were to miss this or you have any friends or family who are interested, hopefully within a week or so, we should have this online for people to review and to look at. So it will be made available for anybody if you wanted to look at it again, or you have friends and family who may be interested in this presentation. So Samantha has a question: is there a minimum GPA requirement for any of these programs? The short answer is generally what we're looking for is a minimum 3.0 overall GPA. It's not an absolute cutoff, but you really want to be as close to that as possible. We do look at students holistically. We want to get a sense of what school you had graduated from, were your earlier years in college not as strong as your later years in college. But we do look at the student holistically. Like I said, 3.0 is not an absolute cutoff, but you really want to try and be as close as possible to that as possible.
Okay, Ken, is there any other questions about the programs in particular or the classes?
Okay, so for anyone who has any questions, hopefully you can see the screen. Sorry, we have one more last question. Are other popular graduate programs, aside from our Division of Psych and Counseling, which we've just been discussing here tonight, we do have programs within our School of Education, a Master's of Public Administration, and then also the art therapy program is very popular as well. So We do have other programs within our graduate division, and I think across the board, most of them tend to be fairly possible, but by far our division of psychology and counseling tends to draw the most students. So I have a question, are any of these programs offered off campus? Within the Division of Psych and Counseling, the only program that is offered off campus is we have the Guidance and Counseling program, which we do offer at our Brooklyn campus. That is the only program within our Division of Psych and Counseling that's not offered on the main campus in New Rochelle. So currently, at this point, it'd just be Guidance and Counseling down in Brooklyn.
But also here on the campus.
Right, but all of the programs are offered here on the main campus in New Rochelle. Currently, none of the Division of Psychology and Counseling programs are offered online. They're all what they would call brick and mortar, meaning you have to come into a campus and be in a classroom. Some of the classes are moving towards a little bit of a hybrid model where some of the coursework is online. But the reality is that if you were looking to do any of these programs, you'd have to come to the main campus in New Rochelle. Or if you were thinking about the Guidance and Counseling program, it can be done at the main campus in New Rochelle or down in Brooklyn. But we don't have them exclusively online. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is wrap this up. On the screen here, if you have any questions, you can always email grad@cnr.edu, and one of our counselors in the graduate school will get back to you. Or you can always call our main phone number at 914-654-5452 and ask to speak to a graduate admissions counselor, and we'll have someone get back to you. So thanks everybody for spending some time with us. I hope it was helpful. Like I said, if you have any questions, something you forgot, something that comes up to you later, feel free to email us at grad@cnr.edu or just call us. And I'm sorry there's a typo there, but it is 914-654-5452. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.